What's going on, guys? Pop101 here. Today I thought I'd do something a little different and showcase my 11 mods that make Blade and Sorcery as realistic as possible. So let's get started. The first mod on this list is dynamic breakables. Basically, you can use weapons to deform, destroy, and slash other weapons. So, for an example, let's say we have this flanged war mace right here. All we need to do is apply a certain amount of damage to it, which is all completely customizable in this book. And all we need to do, like this, is just hit it a couple times. Oh my gosh. I guess it didn't like that. I don't even know what to say. Okay, so I'm going to say this flanged war mace is way stronger than our sword right now. So we should probably get a better one. I think it's time to use either the claymore or the greatsword. Then I might actually be able to show you guys this. So since our maces decided to despawn, like they always do randomly, all we need to do is do a certain amount of damage like this, and let's just hit it a few times. One more should do it. Holy cow. How awesome is that? Not to mention, yeah, we can still use this as a weapon. There are no longer the colliders from this part of the blade right here. And I'm fairly certain... Oh, look at that. The handle is actually still active on this weapon. So we can actually chop it in half and use either part of this exactly as we could before. Now, let me just make sure. So, damagers are all working as they should be. Holy cow. Okay, while I was recording this next part, I accidentally used this giant hammer to smash this other hammer into a bunch of little pieces. What I want to show you now is the fact that we can actually deform weapons. So, we have these two right here, and not only can we cut them, but if we apply enough damage to them, check this out. I'm just gonna hit it a couple of times, and over time, you can actually deform weapons now, which I think is absolutely insane. Now, you do need to configure it properly in Unity for them to get deformed. And in order to get that working, what we'll need to do is go to Carnage Reborn and turn on items can be deformed in this configuration mod menu. Now, yeah, there's a bunch of other incredible things, but this is one thing that I wanted to show first because, come on, this is actually so cool. And it seems like the colliders get deformed as well. Oh man, that's awesome. So hold on. So can I actually pierce with this too? Oh, yeah, I can. I guess it still works as intended. Well, I'm just going to keep that on the side burner for now. If we go to Carnage Reborn, and aside from having items can be deformed on, let's turn on items deformable by the environment. Okay, so if I configure this properly, something like Dari's cleaver sword, if I hit the environment with it, this should get deformed. So, hold on. Let me just hit it a few times. Oh my gosh. Check this out. You guys think it's working? That is so cool. And it's really well made, too. Oh, and it's not even just this part right here. If we take a look at the end, even this little bit at the very end of the weapon got deformed. Absolutely incredible. Such a fantastic mod. Okay, but you guys have seen that, so why don't we spawn in an Executioner's Blade and show the second mod on this list. One of my personal favorites, one that I've made, dismemberment. So basically, we have this weapon right here, we have this fellow right here, and every single part of him is so much easier to dismember. For example, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. Watch this. Just a little tap. Oh my goodness gracious. Maybe that's too realistic. Okay, so back to this. If we try it on this fellow right here, dismemberment, of course, if you hit a piece of his body, check this out, dismembered a heck of a lot easier, so ta-da. Simple, easy dismemberment on any single part, doesn't matter which limb we're talking about. So if I spawn again, we can go shoulders, elbows, hands, neck, head, feet, knees, every single part. Super easy. Open up our book and check out the third mod, which is Better AI. Now, it's a default value of 1.3. I'd highly recommend you guys leave it at this. So what I'm going to do now is, honestly, I can use this. This is probably a perfect weapon. Or better yet, why don't we grab one that's a little bit smaller and already deformed like this sword. So, enemies can now attack you more realistic. In my opinion, it's 1.3 times as fast as they normally do. So, come on. So, it's actually a bit of a challenge. Oh my god. Okay. Come on, lady. Luckily, I have all of their attacks memorized at this point. I've only been playing Blade and Sorcery for 500 hours plus at this point. Come on. One more time. Come on. I'll go easy on you. And easy peasy. She gets taken out. Now, of course, you can not only customize it to be 1.3 or higher faster enemy attacks, but like you saw at the very start, if I wanted an enemy to practice on, so if I set it to 1.6 times attack speed and I piss off this guy right here, he actually attacks us only 1.6 times the normal speed, which makes it a heck of a lot easier and great for us to practice fighting enemies. You can practice blocking, ducking, and parrying any attacks that you could possibly want. Super easy, super fun to use, and definitely customizable. Alright, in the next mod on this list, we have jaw physics. So if I decrease this by a ton, all we'll really need to do is punch him in the jaw, and it should break really, really easily. This is a pretty new one that I haven't really used before, but just to show you guys how well it can work, is take a look. Now we can actually move the mouth and relax the jaw, move it side to side, and it does work for our player too. You know what, why don't we just take this guy's weapon, we'll make it work a little bit easier. So all we'll need to do is either hit him in the jaw as hard as we can, or if we get a weapon to kill him instantly, like, oh, I don't know, let's take a peek. Why don't we use the umbrella? One of my brand new mods. Had a ton of fun making this. So, all we'll need to do is just... Hey, come on, pal. Die real quick so that I can show them. So, on death... Oh, he's still alive? After all that? Ooh! And we got a finisher. So, you can notice his jaw gets all loose and floppy when they die. They despawn a bit quicker because of my better performance mod, but that is another one we're getting to in this video. Okay, now one mod that I absolutely need to use no matter what, regardless of whether it is my first day of a brand new update or my last day recording right now for you guys, is fast weapon handling, completely customizable in our mod book. It makes it so you can grab any weapon regardless of whether it is just a simple light umbrella like this, or something like this, or even, why don't we grab, let's grab the greatsword. Notice these two gigantic weapons, if we grab it at the end, we can still swing it just as easily as we were with two hands. So now we can single-hand, two-handed weapons with ease. So let's say this guy's pissing you off, now you can just go easily like that, knock him over. It is absolutely no problem at all and makes the game, in my opinion, a little bit overpowered, but I still think this is realistic enough to count because when I'm playing and fighting with normal swords, they're honestly a bit too easy the majority of the time. So if I want to grab something like this or like this, when I swing a weapon, I swing it fast. I'm strong enough to swing a weapon quick. For me, it doesn't feel as good base game, so I always use fast weapon handling to make my game a heck of a lot better. Ta-da! Now, part of Carnage Reborn now is one mod that I absolutely need every single time I play now. It is so incredibly brutal, and it is called the Sliceable torso. So just for this, what I'm going to do is, why don't we get some of my Trials of the Shinobi weapons. They are super duper sharp, and I think I'm good using an Executioner's Blade. So basically, if you hit an enemy at their midsection with enough speed, you can literally chop them, oh my gosh, completely in half. That was way more brutal than I thought it was going to be. So if we go to this, why don't we check out the customizations for it. So in Sliceable Torso, we can customize whether it spawns guts, whether it Wait a minute, so they can still be alive after getting cut in half? Why don't we turn that off? I'm curious to see what'll happen. A slice threshold, how easy it is to slice, and whether or not it is actually active. I wish this was up at the top. That just seems like it makes more sense to me, but okay. So what we're going to try to do now is let's do that all over again. I wonder what happens. Will she stay alive and just flail around? Come on. Come on. Okay. So she's still dead regardless of kill on torso slice. So I'm just going to leave it as is. But hold on a second. So if we cut her in half, take a look. Oh, this is disgusting. Oh my gosh. So there's actually their guts. And of course that is something customizable. So if you guys want to be extremely brutal and have this be realistic, I'd highly recommend you get Carnage Reborn, and that is just the sliceable torso part. We're getting to the rest of it in just a minute. Okay, so this guy is absolutely perfect for our next mod, so just stay tuned for that. I'm actually going to steal his sword real quick. Now this next mod is realistic bleeding. So if I cut this guy's arm right here, and we take a look at it, you will notice that blood actually ends up dripping down his... Oh my gosh, it's dripping off of him too? I didn't realize it did that. It's been so long since I used this. So we have realistic bleeding, which actually shows blood dripping down the body as it's supposed to. So now it's currently going in a downward direction. But one thing that I find absolutely outstanding about this mod is, let's say we turn him on his side like this, and I cut his arm. Stop moving, please. Take a look at this. Blood still drips downwards regardless of the body's orientation. So it works absolutely perfect in how it should. And, oh, I guess his blood even drips onto us. Wow. Now that's cool. One of my favorite mods, although it does cause a lot of lag. So let me just turn off player bleeding for a second. You can customize the amount of drops of blood that it performs and the actual texture of it, so that it can save performance. Man, he went all out. It's been a long time since I tried this. Wow. So cool. Okay, so it seems like all we'll need to do is punch them or hit them with a blunt weapon too. So kick them right in the head. See what happens. Come on, pal. I know you felt that one. We kicked him right in the nose. His face gets all bloody, and it's actually dripping down his body. That is absolutely outstanding. And you know what? You can just stay there. Thank you. Realistic bleeding was updated for U12 again. It is such a fun mod to use. I'd highly recommend you get it. Although I will let you guys know, you should definitely decrease the amount of pixels per meter. I'd recommend 512. And honestly, decrease the amount of max active blood drops too, because it can cause a ton of lag. But it is still definitely one that I highly recommend you get if you want bleeding to be more realistic. Alright, this next one is one that I'm sure many of you know. Why don't we get rid of her? Why don't we spawn in this handsome fellow right here? We have this sword, and this is one of my favorites, which is we stab him right there. You will notice the extra blood particles spawning from everything. This is, oh my gosh, this is Sushin's Better Blood VFX. Not a mod that I'd say you necessarily need to use, because you can also customize how overpowered the bleeding is, but it actually shoots out properly now, and it does look a lot better than the default blood particles. Now this next mod is a long one that I'm going to get into. You started by seeing the sliceable torso, now we have the rest of it, which is Meme Man's Carnage Reborn. So I showed you guys in the very beginning the deformable weapons. Super cool, you can customize all these features about it, but something that's very cool about it. So we have this handsome fellow right here, and just stay with me for a second. This will get very brutal really quick, but what I'm going to do is grab him by the side of the head and just go ham for a second. You'll notice you can also see his skeleton through his mouth because of Huge Honor's jaw mod, but just wait. So if we keep going at this guy, you will obviously notice his face is getting completely deformed. And that is part of this mod which makes it extremely gory and super brutal. So if I actually grab his weapon and use it on him now, just wait. So let's hit him right in the head. Come back up. Come on, I know you want to do it. Okay, pretty cool. And let's hit him one more time. I'd say that should probably do it. So that I can actually show you what I've been trying to show you for a while. Oh no, maybe not. Okay. Oh, I finally killed him. Basically, the eyeballs can actually pop out of the head. And when they do that, you can rip them out of the skull, which it's super gruesome. And you know what? I'm just going to spawn in this guy real quick, and then I'm going to show you as best as I can. Hopefully this will work. But a weapon that I'm sure many of you guys know is, let's go back to our blunt weapons. Let's grab our lovely maul, which has an incredible amount of knockback, and we're just going to clock him right in the noggin. So let's try and hit him right there, okay? And, ooh, good, we got that one hit. So I don't know if you guys saw it stringing about, but his eye, oh man, oh, I can't rip it out. I guess it fell out already. His eye popped out of his head. You know, why don't we just try to get him right in the top of the head, see if we can pop off the other eye, and just... Did we get it? I'm kind of curious. No? But we finally broke his jaw. This is what I was trying to show you guys before. It does take a lot of force for it to work, but it just gets so brutal. And, oh my gosh, it seems like we can cave in the chest a bit. Maybe it's a bit easier to see because this guy actually has his skin showing, so I'm going to use it on him. Just... Ooh, a finisher? Okay. And just... Oh! So, also a part of the Carnage Reborn mod, as you guys can see. We go back to it, there are finishing attacks. So right here, we can customize the different chances of whether a finisher is active. So I assume, yeah, so they need to reach a certain amount of health, then they'll get down on their knees or they'll be waiting for you to finish them. Definitely a very brutal part of this mod. And, oh, okay, so why don't we turn this on? And if we use this guy right here, and why don't we spawn in another maul? If we do a certain amount of damage and force to their head, as you guys can see, we can actually make their head explode. And then there's a couple of different parts that come out like, oh my gosh, can we pick it up? His brain. Is it edible? That'd be hilarious if it was. Hey, pal. Oh, and there's custom sounds when it hits him, too. Very nice. Oh my gosh, and just take a look at this. So his jaw is broken, his eye is nearly coming out, and you can actually see his skull. Hold on a second. Okay, now I think that's enough for the Carnage Reborn mod. This next one is a very simple mod that I made, and basically... when blood hits the environment, it is a lot larger and there's a lot more of it than normal. So it is my more blood mod. Oh, wow. So it seems like there's a bit of a texture. I don't know if you guys can actually see that in the video. It looks like there's a box right there that's showing two different pictures of that texture. But basically, when you hurt an enemy, you do damage to them, they bleed, their blood is a lot larger, so they bleed a lot more than they did before. And the 11th mod on this list that I really want to showcase to you guys, something special. So you guys know that there are a lot of different audios that come with Blade and Sorcery, whether you're pulling the trigger and you're shooting a spell, you're actually throwing a projectile, you are swinging a sword so that you hear the whooshes. There's all sorts of different sounds to make this as realistic as possible. And just not sound like a dull game. Well, using this 11th mod, it is the Ultraviolence Audio Overhaul. So... there are a lot more sounds added when you're doing attacks such as stabbing, slashing, blunt damage, everything. So I'm going to shut up for a second so you guys can hear a couple of the different sounds. So we have some slashes, and then why don't we go back and get some blunt. Here we go. Why don't we use the blacksmith's hammer? We can actually use two of them. So, hey, pal. like I'm playing it like the drums. Ooh, why don't we just get a nice clock right in the jaw? And then I get to the 12th mod, which is a bonus one for you guys. So ready for this? And... oh, now that was gnarly. Okay, I don't know if you guys know this, but I currently play Blade and Sorcery on a gaming laptop. Not super powerful, but it gets the job done. Now, you guys see all of these enemies super bloodied, super damaged, and there has been zero lag. What? Even with all these extra blood mods that are known for causing a lot of lag and a lot of issues. Well, why is that? This bonus mod that I really want to showcase to you guys is very important to me to play Blade and Sorcery now. My better performance mod. Basically, you can customize all sorts of things. Like, for example, when enemies despawn after they get killed properly now, it's because that is part of this mod right here. You can change the screen size to make Blade and Sorcery run better, despawn items after you throw them after a certain amount of time, so items don't just stay in the arena like sometimes they do when they lag. You can despawn every single item on start. Like, I don't know if you guys can tell, but as soon as we spawn in, there's absolutely nothing. No boxes, no spikes, no nothing to cause any lag or issues anywhere in this arena to start. You can remove the screen enhancements, which are setting it to HMD, turning off motion blur, panel, logo, and help. And of course, the main one that everybody has gotten this mod for is the particle amount decreasing. So, blood, particles, decals, everything included in it. Now, I know you guys have tried this before, the fire spell, merging it, the incredibly laggy explosion. So on collision, what happens? There's usually so much lag that you can barely even shoot the mod. So the funny thing about it is, normally this mod will cut particles in half if there's too many and if there's too much lag being caused. Blade and Sorcery, the developers, whoever made this, while yes, it does look beautiful, at the same time, it causes so much lag because of the excessive amount of particles. So this mod turns those particles into a quarter of the total amount. It really, really helps, especially with all these blood mods. Oh, there he goes. And everything else with it. So if you want to play Blade and Sorcery all brutal, gory, and all that fun stuff, as realistic as possible, get every single mod that I listed in this video. But that's it. So if you guys like this video, you like these mods, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It helps out the channel a ton. Thanks for watching.